In the swirling vortex of Salem's drama, where secrets are currency and betrayal is an art form, the week of April 10th delivers a masterclass in serialized storytelling. While casual viewers might tune in for the explosive fights and sudden reveals, a closer look at the Days of Our Lives spoilers for April 10th reveals something rarer. A perfectly calibrated piece of narrative alchemy. This week, two separate engines of drama, romantic hope and violent chaos, are set to collide, with Brady Black and Sarah Horton attempting to take a next step, just as the entire canvas threatens to explode. Let's break down the creative mechanics at play. First, consider the Brady and Sarah storyline. In soap opera grammar, the phrase, "take the next step," is usually code for either a commitment ceremony, a move-in, or a bed scene. But Days head writers Ron Carlivati and his team have earned their creative stripes by subverting expectations. Brady, Eric Martsolf, and Sarah, Lindsay Godfrey, are not a fresh couple. They are two survivors, of addiction, of death, of the gravitational pull of their disastrous exes, Kristen DeMera and Xander Cook, respectively. The creative brilliance here is in the emotional stakes. A normal couple's next step is a celebration. For Brady and Sarah, it is an act of defiance. Spoilers indicate that just as they lean into their fragile happiness, the ground beneath them is rigged with explosives. Why is this good writing? Because it forces characters to make choices under pressure. The audience isn't just watching a romance. They're watching two people try to build a sandcastle while a tidal wave is visible on the horizon. That tension is the heartbeat of effective melodrama. The explosion in the spoilers is likely not a literal fireball, though Salem has seen its share. Rather, it is a cascade of revelations. Historically, April is the month when sweeps begin to heat up, and DOOL excels at the domino effect. One secret, say, Sarah's lingering trauma from being trapped as Rena, or Brady's ever-fragile sobriety, doesn't just fall, it knocks over 5 others. The creativity lies in the chain reaction. A whispered conversation in the town square leads to a misinterpretation, which leads to a confrontation at the Kuriaki's mansion, which leads to a vengeful third party pressing a metaphorical detonator. What makes a soap explosion creative rather than chaotic? Character specificity. Any writer can blow up a set. The Days team, however, uses violence as a character reveal. Consider the players likely holding the match. Spoilers for April 10th strongly suggest that Xander, Paul Telfer, is not done with Sarah, and Kristen, Stacey Heideck, is never done with Brady. When these two forces realize their exes are moving on, the explosion becomes psychological warfare. Kristen might not throw a bomb. She might simply reveal a hidden recording or, more devastatingly, use Rachel, Brady's daughter, as an unwitting pawn. That is a much more sophisticated kind of explosion. One that shatters trust, not just windows. Similarly, the creative team is likely weaving in the ongoing body and soul meta-arc, where characters are producing a soap within the soap. This layered narrative device allows the writers to comment on their own tropes. When drama explodes, on April 10th, watch for a scene where a character on the body and soul set shouts, "Cut," only to realize the real-life crisis unfolding in the dressing room is far more volatile than any scripted line. That kind of postmodern wink is what keeps Days fresh after 5 decades. For writers and creators studying the craft, the April 10th Days of Our Lives spoilers offer 3 key lessons in narrative creativity. 1. The power of the false summit. Just as Brady and Sarah think they've reached a plateau of safety, the ground collapses. Great serialized fiction doesn't just raise the stakes, it changes the terrain. The next step is a classic false summit, a moment of respite designed to make the subsequent fall hurt more. 2. Interlocking motivations. The explosion isn't random. It's the logical outcome of 4 different people wanting 4 different things. Kristen wants control. Xander wants redemption through possession. Brady wants peace. Sarah wants autonomy. When those desires intersect at the same moment, friction generates heat. Creativity isn't about inventing chaos. It's about designing a pressure cooker. 3. Emotional logic over plot logic. In a less skilled show, the explosion would be a car bomb for shock value. In DOOL, the explosion is an externalization of internal turmoil. Brady's relapse risk becomes a literal fire. Sarah's buried rage becomes a shattered vase, or a shattered relationship. The best soap writing follows emotional logic. The bigger the feeling, the bigger the mess. As the April 10th episode airs, pay attention to the silent beats. Creativity in dialogue is obvious. Creativity in what is not said is where mastery hides. When Brady reaches for Sarah's hand, does she hesitate for a fraction of a second too long? When Kristen smiles at Rachel, does her eye twitch? Those micro-expressions are the explosives being wired. Also, listen for the callbacks. The most creative explosions are the ones that have been foreshadowed for months. A line about that old boathouse in January becomes the location of a confrontation in April. A throwaway gift, a necklace, a key, becomes the trigger. Days has been planting these devices all winter. April 10th is harvest time. Finally, note the geography of Salem. The show's limited sets, the Horton Town Square, the DeMera Mansion, the Kuriaki's living room, are actually a creative advantage. When drama explodes, it forces characters into shared spaces. There's no place to hide. That claustrophobia amplifies every screamed accusation and every silent tear. The best creativity often comes from constraints. The Days of Our Lives spoilers for April 10th promise not just a random eruption of violence, but a carefully engineered narrative event. Brady and Sarah's next step is the innocent match. The accumulated betrayals of the past year are the gunpowder, and the show's veteran cast, Martsolf, Godfrey, Telfer, and Heideck, are the spark. When drama explodes, it won't be a mess, it will be a symphony of consequences. For fans of creative storytelling, this is the episode to study. It proves that even in a genre dismissed as guilty pleasure, the mechanics of cause, effect, and emotional truth are alive and well. Tune in April 10th, not just for the screams, but for the structure beneath them.